crafting the future, the versatile and adaptive smart treasurer. For that, we have Willem Reitsma from DP World.
Thank you very much, and really excited to be here. All the years that I've been in the markets, I've run various treasuries and banks in trading markets that's unbeknown today, in pure proprietary trading, and then building corporate treasuries as well, which I really enjoyed. So thank you very much. And it's at my age, 68. I've been retired for 5 years. I'm still working. I really enjoy it. And it's not often that I speak to people that is actually paid to listen to me. I want to tell you an interesting story. When these guys were talking about AI, I typed into my AI app. I said, "Is there an ACTSA conference today?" And boom, there it was. I couldn't believe it. I said, "Are the delegates tired and bored now?" And it said, I'm not going to say what it said, but you know what it is. And it says, I said, "Why am I the last speaker?" And it said, "It's because of your age. You're the oldest person here." So I said, "All right." So I said, "Okay, good." So I thought, let's test this thing. Let's test it. I said, "Is Willem Reitsma a smart treasurer?" And, okay, if I got a different answer, I wouldn't have told you. The answer is, I'll read it for you. Willem is the expert in treasury management. Not a expert. It said, the expert. So you eh? I said to myself, sure, so AI works, eh? Flippin' works, this shit, eh? So I said to myself, okay, let's do something else. I said, what is the next Black Swan event? And when? And it said, I can't answer this question. So it doesn't work for everything. Eh? I can tell you something just as a start. Okay, I've got nothing against AI. But you can't run a treasury on AI. You cannot. You can do whatever you like, you can't. Take the A away, then you've got a treasury. You need intelligence. Artificial intelligence. No, man, real intelligence. That's what you need. And skills. Like the AI said. You know? Or so you can just imagine how complex the treasury is. Manage this thing. I mean, it's, you know, we've got a smart treasury. And it was quite a dilemma when I was, you know, I was asked by Artemis to come and talk about moving towards a smart treasury. I thought, I suppose I've got to move backwards first. Okay, you want me to move towards smart treasury? So, I mean, we're really a smart treasury. But anyway, I remember the old saying that says, if you think you're smart, you're in trouble. And I said, okay, we can potentially talk a little bit about this. So it's vitally important. I mean, everybody by now must be overload of information. I just want to come back to this AI. I'm talking about this overload of information. When I said to him, are the delegates now tired and they're bored? Actually, it said yes. But you wouldn't believe what it said. I'm going to read it to you. It says, ACTSA conferences are engaging. Yes. Interactive panel discussions. Yeah. Real world case studies, yeah. Networking opportunities, expert keynote speakers. Yeah, I mean, yeah. And then it says, if people are tired, it's because of lengthy presentations. So I sat at the back, they used my AI, I changed my presentation, I cut it by half. We did that quite quickly. I just shortened my presentation using AI. Information overload, yes, but now you've had totally overloaded with information. I'm going to give you more. So I'm going to try and unload some of that information. But yeah, I mean, the evolving role of Treasury, you know this. I mean, everybody said it's changed. Companies are massive, complexity that we're busy with. And treasuries have to adapt, you know. And you know, naturally, everybody talks about digital innovation. Treasury departments have evolved from the traditional treasuries. Now, I don't know if anybody can still remember the old treasuries, because, I mean, nobody's been in the market as long as me. But when we started in our treasuries, in Nedbank, I started the treasury in Nedbank, we had a couple of phones on the desk. And after a while, we got quite clever. We know that if the certain ring is this phone, the other one is this phone. And that's how it started. Customers would phone in and we would phone out. And then actually you got a little switchboard. So now when the phone rings, there's a light, you know which one it is. And so then we got Reuters, we tell you right, and Reuters, we start building it up. So, so it's vitally important, you know, that the whole of Treasury has changed, and in my role in particular, what was interesting is at one point the CEO says, I don't want this guy to report to the CFO. I want him to report to me directly. Why did he do that? Not because I was good looking, yeah. No, it was because I had a different view. I did things differently. The CFOs are accountants, by and large. So have you ever seen wow, finance department? Wow, I work for finance. No, man. Have you worked for Treasury? Yes! Look, we're the best. Don't mess with us. We'll take you out. Okay. The CEO who saw the benefit of it, I had projects running in the company that the finance department could never touch. We built a performance management system that was unbelievable. We turned the company around. I've actually presented on this before. In 2007, the share price dropped dramatically. We implement the interventions, and we see the share price. The fact that I joined that year is added to it. But yeah, I mean, it worked. Yeah, so this whole thing about moving, and you see, I changed this. This is towards, towards something. So I thought, okay, let me see what this app says about smart treasury. And it came up with some bloody good things. It says digitalization, okay, automate routine tasks, okay. I knew this 20 years ago. What the hell? No wonder I'm so bloody smart. Okay. Data analytics, informed decisions, predict cash flows, optimizing funding. Yes, like, whew, I can go back in history. In 2000, with the tech explosion, people warned you about this. Please, bring in this stuff. Now, 2024, goodness gracious, this should have been implemented already, you know. Integration, wow, what a word. Whenever I speak to a bank, all the banks here, I said, listen, can you automatically take my money off my account and pay my money market overdraft. They said, no, that's a different system. I said, okay. So when is it going? No, we're working on it. You told me that 2 years ago. So let's face it, this is a long way. There's a long way to go in this stuff. But let's not be despondent. So I thought about it hard. And I've changed this thing. Let's change this thing. So I believe the starting point of this is to imagine the perfect treasury. Not a smart treasury, the perfect treasury. Now, the perfect treasury will be different to different companies. Okay? I once did a presentation that changed our company. We sold our airline business immediately after I made the presentation. I showed the capital required in this business, the return on it, all that type of thing. Just didn't fit us. You know, if you have a Boeing, in those days we had the biggest Hercules fleet in the world, flying rescue missions, all that stuff. So the point is, a perfect treasury naturally will be for a small company. A perfect treasury will look different to a bigger company. But just think for a moment, I'm going to challenge you now. Just for a second, I just want to take my breath because I'm old. So just think about it for a second. No, let's take it a little longer. Just think about what you would imagine a perfect treasury to be like. Just imagine. So all of you have now thought about what you think a perfect treasury would be. So I'll put some ideas here, but it's a concept, huh? Remember, this is a concept. So each of you will have a different view of this. But just think about it. If you've got the perfect manager, perfect management, they know exactly what Treasury wants. We heard the other day, just now, the guy said he wanted to go and get 2 million euros for something. Man, if you've got the perfect manager, as you walk in, he says, yes, it's done. Perfect manager, perfect treasurer, wow. Okay. As he walks out, hey, I've got a big bonus for you, boy. Hey, thanks. That's perfect. You're getting a wealth creation. You work in a treasury, you make big bucks, man. That's a perfect treasury. Expert staff performing at 0 defect levels. Everything is presented to you from the start. Anything is done. Your team work like a Swiss clock. No errors. Nothing. That's perfect. Just think about it, how nice it would be. Okay? Including me, nicely. Fully integrated real-time systems across all disciplines. Everything is real-time. Perfect. That's just my ideas. You guys have got your own ideas. I'm going to waste it. Rich data lake. It doesn't matter to have a small little lake, like a wash basin. I'm telling you now, that one guy, so he said, it's like seeing a ghost. If you talk about AI, you listen. How do you do AI? Yes, okay, I do it. I do a lot. I remember working in London, and one night we did a dollar raid into New York, and we buggered up a lot of banks. And me and my staff, we went to a pub, and we started drinking beer. And the one Englishman, you know how their sense of humor is. You just don't talk rugby with him, but he said, Willem, I've seen a ghost. I've seen a ghost tonight. And nobody is going to bloody believe me. If I tell him what we did in New York tonight, nobody will believe me. It's the same with AI. Do you use AI? Yes. What do you do with it? I know, it's bloody interesting, eh? You know, okay. Predictive analysis. Can you imagine if it can predict in advance? This is perfect now, eh? Perfect world. It predicts in advance, but only to you. Not nobody else. It tells you 6 months in advance of a black swan event. You go in, you go on a hedge. It happens, poof. Yeah, you could make a killing. Shit, that's perfect, eh? That's what we're looking for, predictive. It tells you in advance what the Naira is going to do. The fact that you can't buy dollars, but at least you can go and buy a lot of bloody whiskey, so you can say, it's like people say to you, I know which horse is going to win. Then I don't put any money on. I tell you afterwards what it is. I'll tell you an interesting story. I went to a psychic. And I was busy sitting there listening to this guy, because I said to him, I'm coming to talk here. And he said to me, I've got a very interesting story. He says, I've got a woman here that's very cross with her husband. He can predict a lotto numbers. 100% correct. He said, well, Jesus, why don't you make a lot of money? He says, no. He only sees the numbers when they start drawing. So I said, so what did you tell her? I said, no, she must just love her husband. But he could see it in advance, according to him now. So bloody interesting stuff, eh? So predictive analysis, very interesting in a perfect world. You can use it, to give an example, what is phenomenally important in a perfect world. You can have very small amount of facilities. So let's say you don't have to pay commitment fees. So you have a very small. Why? Because your AI, your predictor, is going to tell you there's going to be a problem next year in say February. And then in December you walk into the bank, just before they go on holiday, still quickly approve it, and you put in facilities in place. You don't pay for anything. Predictive analysis. This is perfect. Eh? Anticipating questions from auditors and banks using AI and create perfect responses. So, as the auditor is talking, you just press the button. There it is. Auditor says, "Hell, this is amazing." He would say to me, have you got any other tricks? So no, I just know magic. I don't know any tricks. But you just press the button, boom. There it is. Automatic facility agreements. There's no lawyers involved. Perfect. The bank's credit committees, you anticipate what the credit committees want. They tell you immediately, you know. KYC requirements, no. You get these systems that says you can load it there and the banks can go and pull it. In the perfect treasury, you do nothing. It just does it automatically. It knows it's got to do it. So I'm just putting this out. The concept, remember I'm giving you a concept here. A concept of perfect treasury. So this is really what it was. Real-time data. You've got all this around the world, different currencies, whatever. Machine learning, predictive analysis. This is where it is. So what's the current state of affairs? And again, I'm generalizing here. This is my opinion. All of you may have different views. Leadership with limited awareness. Quite often, people do not understand Treasury. They just don't understand it. Inadequate performance rewards. So you're all getting you're getting these huge bonuses. High human performance levels. Naturally, we're working with humans. We all make mistakes. High stress levels, very high. Extremely high. Various disparate systems. Goodness gracious. Some real-time visibility, some machine learning, limited AI, no crystal ball, laborious stuff. How many times is it, you go to a bank, you want to do a deal, have you got a resolution? I want a solution, not a resolution. So the complexity of treasuries, the complexities of what we're dealing with, okay, is immense, immense. Treasurers are smart people, you know. It's very, very tough job, this. We prepared when I say we, our Treasury team, and specifically with the assist of our Treasury analyst, Anthony, we pulled together an IM that's skrik van niks. It was very comprehensive. We put in data there, the banks took that, and they said, wow, that is phenomenal, what they could give to their credit committee in extreme detail. Data that they love to have. What we did is, although we had a lot of data, because I'll show you now, I'll talk about data, we discussed it and we said, let's ask the bank what data they want, up front. So we sent them emails and they came back with lists. We made sure that that IM had all those data in it. So when we presented that IM, it had data galore. In fact, it was 80 pages long, but the banks asked for everything. In the end, we had to give virtually all the information in 80 pages. So that's how important it is. So how do we move? This is the whole thing. How do we move from where we are now to a perfect treasury? How do we move it? I want us to think this continuum here. Okay, the way to do it is to incremental, do something that makes you a little bit smarter. Okay, and then you move along. Okay, then you're even smarter. Okay, and then you become even smarter, and then you're the smartest treasury before you hit the perfect treasury. Okay. Now, I'm not going to tell you where we are, but we're bloody close. Yeah, I won't say to which side of the, but we are close. All right, let's move on. So actually the benefits of moving towards perfection is this optimal pricing by providing best-of-class financial analysis. I can't overemphasize this. If you have good information that you can provide to your funders, and also for your internally for risk management, it's vitally important. Focus on strategy versus routine tasks. That's what it does. Reduce holding costs, so you don't have to have these big excess facilities that where you spend a lot of commitment fees on. Improves your hedging strategy, and then accurate cash flows. Now let me tell you something. Anjani read through probably 40 articles, okay, on this whole subject, because she was helping me with this. I read around about 20 articles on this topic. And it came up. I could understand, I got a gist of what the current thinking is if you Google a smart treasury. Okay? And it's very similar to what I've read out earlier on this AI thing. But it left me uncomfortable. Okay? Extremely uncomfortable. Something was missing. Something very important was missing in every single bloody article, every one of them. Okay? The one thing that concerned me a lot is they focus virtually every article focuses on cash flow and cash forecasting. In my world, it is a portion of our work. There is so much. I showed you that complexity. But all these smart treasuries focus on using technology to move that one thing. It left me uncomfortable. And I'll talk a little bit more about it later on. We've heard from some of the speakers today that data is important. Yes, accurate and pertinent data. Okay? When I was one of the youngest chief dealers in the market, naturally because I started Nedbank's Treasury, so There's only one person, and that's me. I was a chief dealer. Yeah. The fact that I was only dealer is another story. But from the word go, and I've ran quite a few large projects, and not just Treasury projects. I had a sort of an aptitude for systems, and quite often I would chair the whole bank, Nedbank's big IT spend systems as a chairman. And it's so important to have accurate and pertinent data. And everything I've done in every department that I've started, doesn't matter what it is, any function I do, data. Get it, the right data. Don't waste your time with wrong data. So when you read stuff that we have got on the internet, so this is a paragraph we got out of the internet. Perfect. It says, the pursuit of digital transformation is crucial to understand that data takes precedent over technology. If this is one message that I've learned over the years, it doesn't matter what technology is. I'm not saying mustn't use technology. Use it. But why do you want to use it? And what are you going to get out of it? Get the right data. That's the most important thing. So again, when it comes to Treasury, it's very important that you can use the right data. And that you can, like they say there, data literacy is becoming a vital thing. It's very important to look at the data and say, this data is irrelevant. This is important data, and you focus on that. That's why some aircraft cockpits, they've got certain dials, big ones. They're important. And they've got all these others, they're not so important. You know, if you drop in altitude, you need to see it, it's very important. If one of your engines goes, it's quite important. So you've got to focus on the right data. So it's very important here, what they say is data that's truly valuable. And I spend quite a lot of time with this and with my team, with all the teams I've worked. We go through the data. What is the real data? What is going to help us? What's not going to help us? We're wasting our time. So I'm bringing in something else now. Remember I told you I felt uncomfortable? I felt uncomfortable. There's something missing. And that's EI. The human element is, if not even more important than AI. But I'm nice today. Let's balance them out. So you've got the yin and the yang, and you've got AI versus EI. So one of the messages I want to drive today is look after your people. Develop the people. Have the right Treasury team. Have the skills. You won't believe the stresses people go through, not just on the work, but even in personal lives, including me. And it's vitally important to make sure that the team is balanced from a lifestyle point of view. That they don't overstress on the work versus their own personal goals and so on. Vitally important. I want to talk to you a little bit about this, about the Treasury culture. I'm not just one message. I'm asking the question here, what is your Treasury culture? I'm going to tell you what it should be. But I'm going to tell you a story. So I was running the Nedbank trading rooms, and I read a book about nuclear submarines and how they select staff to go onto that nuclear submarine. It's one of the few places where two commanders can launch a nuclear missile. Undersea, they can launch a missile. So they go through a hell of a scrutinization. And their culture is so different to the navies that they have their own pubs because they can't stand the normal Navy guys. Can't stand them. They don't understand the stresses they are under in that tin. And they take so much responsibility. So I wrote to this guy, to this author. I said to him, I've got the same problem. I'm the sub-managers in my treasury. We're in total conflict with the culture of the other departments. I'm not talking about values of the company. That's very different. You've got to naturally be part of the overall organization. But very often, each business has got its own culture. Okay? Treasuries, fast, quick decision. Okay? Accurate. Can't tolerate, mistakes. The finance department. Oh no, I'm going to get a cup of coffee. Okay. Marketing. Hey. No, man. So, treasury, sharp stuff, eh? So, think about your treasury. I can tell you now, I'll put if your treasury culture is the same as your finance department, you've got big trouble, man. Big trouble. All right. So what I'm doing now, I'm now talking about the EI side. And you can just imagine, I used EI just to balance AI. Okay, but it's not just EI. Emotional intelligence is one thing. But I'm bringing in the human part. We are the humans. Okay? We are by far more important than the other side. Naturally, smart people is going to use technology. If you don't have smart people, you've got a major problem. Okay? If you look at my treasuries over the years, okay, I've worked with very smart people. I've developed a lot of smart people, and they've helped me to develop. Every single treasury that I worked for, people have gone on to be done extremely well. Because it's naturally we import knowledge. Not just down, but up. So, vitally important. And when I read those articles, one after another, it overemphasizes the AI side. And not just the AI, I love it. Cash flow forecasting. What the hell? God. Capital management. We turned the company around. You look at each company. You analyze it. If there's a bank governance, for instance, let's say there's a bank governance on your top company. Drop that governance down to every legal entity and see what the hell happens. You pop out people. You say, yes, you've been hiding there, eh? Fuck, you're the one who's causing the crap here. But a lot of companies don't deep dive. They look at the top and they say, yes, like, what happened? And the guys who are really milking it, who are the big guys, sometimes they don't even stand up and say, hey, I'm running this company. We are contributing. So it goes both ways. But the guys who are very, very clever is the guys who's destroying value. You don't hear about them. Carry on. So the whole thing is about people, process, technologies. I'm not going to go through this. You can understand this. Vitally important mindset, new talents, naturally. All these things, I'm not going to go through it, but I'm just putting it out there. I'm cutting this presentation shorter, every time. The time. Emotional intelligence, again, I'm using this as a concept. Well-being at work. I went through a divorce, okay? Terrible one, after 40 years. Okay? One of my staff, pillar of strength for me. So, I travel with my daughter, pillar of strength. You've got to be sensitive to your staff. develop them, support them, not just in the job, in their personal lives, in their what they're trying to achieve, and us. For me, that is why I am passionate about this. Okay? When people talk about AI, I said, yeah, man. EI, puppy. You know, and I'm not against AI, please. They were correct anyway on my. So this is the message I want to leave with you, finishing off now. Balance this, please. Balance this whole thing. Data, technology, systems, machine learning, robotic process automation, you name it. AI against EI. Culture, human resources, knowledge and skills. Knowledge and skills is a phenomenal thing. I personally, I've got a master's degree in risk management. I studied it part-time. I didn't go to university. All my studies was part-time. So I can't socky. I can't socky. You go to university and you learn how to socky. I can't socky. I haven't been to university. So at a dance, I sit there. So, so knowledge and skill. Let me tell you what is more important. Skill. By a long way more important. I hate it. You get these smart asses. You ask them a question. But AI. They'll say, oh, this is what AI is. I say, do you use it? Do you know how to use it? No. Do you know what this is? Yes, it's a bread. Can you bake one? No. Skills is the best thing. If you can close the knowledge-skill gap, it's unbelievably successful your departments will be. There was a study done, okay, because not by me, I read that study. They had this problem in the world about the knowledge, skill, action gap. What they did is they did a research in Japan. So they asked the Japanese kids and the people, they say, you know this, are you applying it? The Japanese says, yes, why? They don't understand the concept of the gap. But in the Western world, people learn things, but they don't do it. They don't use it as skills. So what I normally do in my teams, okay, I focus on skills. Do you know how happy people are when they do their job properly? Yeah, have you seen it? Happy people don't do good jobs. Do a good job when you're happy. That's how it works. So I designed a simulator. So one desk here with a computer. Okay. The client walks in. The client is now another staff member. Just like these two guys who are marketing something here just now. So the guy sitting there on the. So then they sit there, and then they ask a question, and then they don't know what to do. So now you train them. Okay, and you see how their faces, how their body changes when the person walks in, and they do it. They walk in like this. Wow. Normally what are they going to ask me now? No, man. Build the skill levels up. So, please, AI, EI, and on that interesting note, I'm going to close off. So thank you very much. Listen to me.